The next point we've got to talk about is marketers' favorite topics, obviously data, and the importance of data, something we know is very important, something we use daily in our work. But when it comes to data and data governance, what role does that play in this AI era, Diego?
Yeah, data is key. We have all heard garbage in, garbage out, and that with AI, it's what happens. And very often it happens if you don't have the right data or the data stored properly. So data should be treated as the key asset of any company, right? And very often we store things in an unstructured way. We don't know where things are. Maybe we have a lot of unstructured data that we need to convert into structured data before AI can do its magic, let's say, or we could do things that are valuable with that. So I think data is key in any transformation, and with AI as well. No? Very often we say, in order to change or implement any technology, think about the problem you're trying to solve, but then you need to think about the technology, the processes, the people, and with AI also the data. And very often companies come to us, okay, we want to create a model for this, and we try, we need to get some data to actually train a model that is well suited for that, no? Because the publicly available models might be good enough for many cases, but very often you need something else, and you need to train, you need some additional data, you need to have input examples of good inputs and outputs, and companies might not have that. That's extremely important. I think that companies are realizing the importance of that these days, and they are looking into solutions on how to structure that, and that's important. In terms of AI, once you have that data, then you can define the best architecture towards solving your goal, whatever that is. Maybe you have heard about retrieval-augmented generation solutions, where you, in all that large amounts of data, you find the most relevant pieces of data for your to solve your problem, and that's the core of many agentic or agent technologies. And also one important topic, and maybe that's for another day, or deeper dive, having knowledge graphs where you really link all the data together in a semantic way. That's extremely important to produce good content and to make sure that you can generate an output that is, let's say, comparable to human level. And of course, I think we mentioned that whenever we say AI, and I'm working on the technical side of this, but we do not try to compete with the humans. So we try to empower the humans to be more effective and do more. And that's what we try to do with all this. So the input of the humans of the people into those data structures is also extremely relevant. So yeah.
And I think actually your point there about the semantic connections and the knowledge graph, that's SEO, and that is what SEO has been working upon for many years now. That is some of the fundamentals within, a key tenet of SEO, something that I know our teams have talked about for a long time. And it's like part of the discussion of saying that SEO is no longer valid and it's not really about SEO anymore. Well, it still is. The kind of core principles of SEO apply whether you're optimizing for search engines or LLMs, and this is kind of a good example of that, I think.
Yeah. You're optimizing in the end for the person reading that content and accessing that, no, and trying to help them. But Carlos, for you.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more, and it all starts with the data. So in my world, I have this thing, and my teammates know me as the data guy, so they always probably make fun of me for it because I'm always looking at the data in the most nerdy way. But my saying is garbage in, garbage out. If the CRM data that we're using to feed the platforms like Google Ads and Meta, if that data is messy, or if it's duplicated, or if it's disorganized, the AI-driven targeting is just going to be flawed, right? So we're asking a genius-level algorithm to just make decisions based on really bad information, right? AI is this incredible engine, but think of it like a car, and the data is the fuel, right? So if you put in like a low-grade contaminated fuel into a high-performance car, it's not going to run right. it's just going to sputter and then eventually break down. So it's the same thing with paid media. We have to have this structured, organized data so that these platforms have absolute clarity on what your business's brand is and exactly who your best customers are. We just had a meeting yesterday with the client talking about data feedback. I cannot stress how important that is, because when we have this solid governance and a clean data structure that feeds back to these platforms, we're not just guessing or hoping for this lucky conversion. We're giving the AI this clear, high definition map that helps find really high value audiences that actually resonate with the brand. Without that foundation, you're not innovating anything. You're basically, you're just paying AI to make mistakes for you, just at a faster rate than a human could. So for any businesses or organizations or companies that are listening, before you go chasing that big shiny AI feature or AI agent, you got to make sure that your house is in order. And by house, I mean data. You got to make sure that's in order. You have to give the machine the right building blocks if you want to build something that actually drives ROI. But if your data is a mess, then guess what? Your results are going to be a mess too.
Yeah. If I can add a couple of things on this, because I really like the analogy with the fuel, that basically, and also building upon Kairos and Diego together, basically, as Diego mentioned, now in the short term, companies will be forced to do this. And we can see that because, for example, if we look at the roadmap of the next releases, like the commerce protocol, the ads in the LLMs and stuff, if you don't have, let's say, the data in the right place, structured in the right way, there is no way you're going to be featured. So, and of course, now OpenAI, Google are releasing manuals on what you should be, the structure you should be using, at least on your products, in order for the products to be features in LLM responses. So you can already see that basically there is like a governance, on at least product data to be featured. And this is like something people need to be solved. But following Kairos, this should have already been happening in the past. It's not something you should be doing right today. So if you're approaching this today, it's because you missed this part in the past. So this is important because and I can also witness this from a, let's say, TransPerfect perspective. In the last 2 years, we built a tool that was capable of integrating structured data to produce product descriptions. And guess what? The AI was working, but what we were receiving as structured data were not structured data. So AI could not process. So at the moment, what we're doing is basically, you know what? Give us everything. We structure the data for you, and then we process the information because we're receiving raw inputs, right? So this is the overall problem, and I couldn't agree more. Basically, and this is going to be the key aspect for the immediate future. And even if now the commerce protocol, so the possibility to purchase on LLMs will be available in the short term, without a proper home cleaning, this will be a huge mess. So I think the first suggestion will be really spend time, and if you have to invest, don't invest on the shiny tool, invest on structuring data, because this will become for sure the right fuel for the immediate future.